Hi there, I'm Beth and I hope you're all well. Today I'm going to be creating a very special custom doll who will be available to buy from my website at the time this video releases. If you'd like to know in advance when a new doll is available, please consider joining my Patreon. You'll find the link in the description. I've chosen this pretty AliExpress Blythe doll as my base. She has beautiful rose gold or peachy coloured hair, which is super long. She arrived with 2 full sets of extra hand gestures, which will also travel with her to her new home. Her face is already matte, and she has eyebrows too, but as always, I like to lightly sand away the existing face up before creating my own. I begin by taking apart the doll, separating the head and the various mechanics for the eyes inside. I'll need a plan, so I create some concept art for her using the Procreate app in my iPad. As you can see, I plan to give her some pointed ears, like a fairy or elf. She'll have soft, pretty clothes, perhaps with tulle sleeves and floaty layers. I'll also give her an open mouth with teeth inside. I will start by putting on my dust mask and sanding her face and back plates with some very fine, sponge-backed sandpaper. Once her face is clean, I pencil some guidelines for myself to follow, marking areas where I plan to carve away the plastic. I make some initial grooves using a ball-tipped bit in my Dremel. I recently purchased some curved scalpel blades that I want to try out for customizing too. These are handy for carving away plastic in slightly recessed areas. I also use some hand carving tools intended for woodwork. I carve above and below the eyes, and then move on to sculpting the nose and mouth area. When I move on to the opening of the mouth, I use a hand drill to make 2 holes right through the faceplate. I will then use a scalpel to remove the material between them and further refine the opening. Once I'm satisfied with the carving, I carefully sand the faceplate to smooth out all the rough areas from carving. I find that scraping with a blade or scalpel creates less roughness than you would get with a grinding tool on the Dremel. If you find it hard to get your own custom faces smooth, perhaps try using only hand tools to see if it helps. Now I turn to the back plate and get my superfine white milliput. This is a 2-part modelling compound which hardens without needing to be baked when equal parts of each material are thoroughly mixed. This is similar to epoxy, which might be more widely available. I use a little water to smooth the surface and begin attaching the ears to the head directly over the existing ears. I use various modelling tools to create grooves in the surface to somewhat resemble the inner ear. Now, if I were to paint her green at this point, I could have a very sweet little Grogu Blythe, but for today, this is not the way. Once the milliput has cured completely, the ears are completely hard. I then mix up some acrylic paint to try to match the colour of the head and colour the ears. Once dry, I spray both sides of the head with Mr. Super Clear, or MSC, to prepare the surfaces for pastels. I also used this, my cordless airbrush, to spray a little blush colour onto the face and ears too. It's subtle, but I like a little blush in place before I start using pastels. Now I will start to recolour the face and the eyelids too. I use soft, rounded makeup brushes with artists' chalk pastels and pan pastels to add colour to the face. I start with the mouth and can use a kneaded putty eraser to clean away any excess pastel that I want to remove. Once I've added some colour to the face, I blush the ears as well. I'm painting the eyelids using Himi gouache paints, building up my design in layers. This paint is water soluble, so will be protected with layers of varnish afterwards. I'm really happy with this design, a field of flowers in colours that will match her look. While I continue her face up, I'm thinking about her name. I want her to be a kind of elf or fairy, but not necessarily one with wings. She'll be more earthy and grounded, perhaps a flower fairy? I looked back at some folklore books I have and took the first part of her name from the Scottish word for fairy, Seelie. I then researched springtime fairies, since spring has finally sprung here. I came across the illustrations by Cicely Mary Barker from 1923 of many flower fairies, and decided that Primrose seemed to suit my girl well. Seelie Primrose. I draw and colour my own picture inspired by that illustration on her back plate. I think it's a lovely name, and Primrose can be shortened to Posy for a cute nickname. I return to working on her eyebrows. Using a fine, wet paintbrush, I can pick up pigment from a watercolour pencil. For lighter strokes, I use the pencil directly. I mix in lighter coloured hairs for variety. I also use the pencils to draw in some dark brown eyeliner and add some magical sparkle to her cheek. I wanted to try adding a little subtle sparkle to her skin, so brushed on a small amount of fine glitter. I added a little to the back too. The headpieces now get their final coats of MSC to protect all the paint. Her eyelids get extra coats of glossy varnish too. I use Tamiya clear varnish to gloss her lips. Before her head is complete, I want to change her eye chips. I saw a different method I wanted to try out that doesn't require glue sticks. I soak the eyes in freshly boiled water. I stick some double-sided sticky tape to the end of a wide Posca marker with a concave shape. I wipe away the water and stick the tape to the iris and pull it out. It works! I then do some alterations to the eye mechanism. I carve away a little material at the sides of the lids. Once placed in the head, this lets the lids open up a little more than before by moving beyond this stopper piece. I also cut a little off the tip of the white T-bar. This lets the eyes sit a little higher, looking more upwards than straight sideways. I also install one of our own neck joints. This will give her the ability to tilt her head forwards and back and side to side, since the default allows only for rotation and a fixed downward gaze. You'll find these available to buy in 3 skin tones at bethramsden.com. At last, it's time for fabric. I decided to scale up the cute dress I recently made for my midi Juniper to Neo size. I named it the Peekaboo dress and will make it from a ditzy floral cotton and polka dot tulle. I'll gather the tulle to make puffed short sleeves, and the cotton bodice will have an interfacing lining. Once the tulle is attached, I trim away the excess from the interfacing and can iron it to hide and secure the seam allowances. That gives a really nice finish to the inside of this dress. I will gather the seam cuffs with some decorative elastic and will then close in the side seams before gathering them a little to fit Primrose's waist. Before closing in the sides, I stitched on a little decorative lace trim. I've gathered in the sides and tried them out on my mannequin. I also made some lacy shorts for her to wear under this dress. I'm happy with the top, so I move on to gathering cotton and tulle for her skirt. I finish off the back closure with snaps. That's a lovely fit and perfect for a spring fairy. I like to include a second outfit, and this one wanted to be a little more dramatic. I used the skirt from a Regency gown pattern that I'd created back in September 2021. I changed it to have a sweetheart bodice and detached sleeves, similar to the Smart Doll Beer Girl dress. The bodice is lined and hand-stitched. The skirt is made of 2 layers and has beads and flower sequins hand-sewn on. In my concept art, I drew little pointed elf shoes. I set about making these using some polymer clay that remains a little flexible after baking. I modelled some soles first and baked them. I then considered using my usual template for fabric shoes, but later decided on a different shape. I formed a crescent moon shape for the toe pieces, and then a half circle for the heel. This gave the shoes a lighter appearance, and I was able to sculpt pointed toes too. After baking, I glued and covered the shoes in golden glitter and added golden soles too. They're reminiscent of Dorothy's ruby slippers. My next step was to finish off Primrose's pull cords. I had added a second sleep eye cord and gave this a golden pull ring. I knot and seal the ends of the cord and add a drop of fray check glue to each knot to prevent them loosening. Here you see her eyes in action, and the new eyes I chose for her. She has front-facing deep green, with hazel looking left, special peachy gold glitter eyes facing forward, and brown looking right. You can see her teeth in these detail shots too, which were modelled with translucent polymer clay. Here she is wearing her special gown with flowers in her hair. I attached these to tiny hair clips so they stay in her hair nicely. Here she is in her entirety, wearing her little shoes, and holding a little flower handbag I made for her. The body is made from pink felt with a ribbon loop to hold onto. You can also see that I've styled her hair. I didn't think a haircut was necessary for this special Seelie. I've given her lots of swooping pleats, looping under her ears and meeting in the back. When sold, she'll come with her own white doll stand with my scissors logo. Also, one of our dress display stands, which are available to buy separately at bethramsden.com as well. Let's see how this dress is made. By removing the hands, the sleeves can slide off. The cuff is pointed and the top of the puff is elasticated, to be worn on or off the shoulder. The dress is simply closed with a snap at the back. I really think it's beautiful. Let's see her in her short springtime dress. I think this also suits her so well. The colours suit her hair and accessories. What a fun girl she's turned out to be. Seelie Primrose has her own sleeping bag, although she'll also be well bubble wrapped for when she travels to her new home. Once again, thank you to all my lovely patrons for their extra support. I really appreciate all my viewers here. I do hope you've enjoyed this special custom video. As always, please leave me a comment below and tell me what you think of Seelie Primrose. Are there any of her features that you'd like for your own doll? I can't wait to chat with you all in the comments. Please check out the links in the description below to bethramsden.com, where Primrose is for sale, also to my Patreon page, where you could be getting extra content and see upcoming custom dolls. Thank you so much. Please do watch until the end to see Primrose get a tour of Huntly, where we found wildlife and lovely scenery by the castle. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!